Hello and welcome to our review of Veronica Mars. I'm Paul,
I'm Dave.
and this week we are discussing the episode Blast from the Past. Alrighty, this episode originally aired November 26th, 2005. Let us start off with the number one film at the box office this week, Dave. What would we have been going to see the week after this episode aired? So the weekend after, what are we going to see at the movies? Well, you probably didn't go see this, but I might have snuck in.
Okay. I was kind of thinking about it around that time. There was a couple particular series around the time that were somewhat popularizing and going along, but wasn't too sure if it was one or the other. So I'd have to maybe venture a guess it was the one of the Saw movies. I'm not sure if it was either the second or third one.
It is Saw 2. I'm not a huge fan of the Saw movies, but at the time, it was like, one of the only horror franchises going. I actually really like the
Yeah, it was
first
kind
movie.
of the new hotness that was coming out in the horror franchise.
Yes, it was the big thing at the time, and I did see this in theaters. And I think I've seen it maybe once since then, because again, not a huge fan of most of the Saw movies. Anyway, moving along, number one song in America, I'm not even going to bother asking Dave because it is still Gold Digger by Kanye West.
Yeah, it's understandable. That and the parody that Weird Al did with it.
I am not familiar with the parody. Alrighty, so let us look at some video games. So, in the week this episode was released, what could we play at home? Well, there's a couple of fucking big releases. So I'm not going to name everything because that would take too long. I'm just going to hit, like, the big ones.
Rayos.
Okay, so a couple of the big ones here. We have on October 24th, if you had a GameCube, you could pick up Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix.
Because of course, when there's a super popular thing that everybody loves, you gotta throw Mario at it.
Yes, you do. Also on October 24th, if you had a PSP, you could pick up Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories.
Yes, marvelous case of wanting to still work with the Grand Theft Auto franchise, but also getting it thrown onto a powerful for the time handheld system, then not being actually able to keep up with what Grand Theft Auto is doing at the time.
Yeah, I think this one's a prequel to like 3 or something. But I
And
remember.
hence why they went back to the old style of what Grand Theft Auto first started at.
No, this one's 3D because it's on the PSP, and the PSP could do like proper 3D.
Oh, okay, then I may have gotten it confused with one of the other ones.
The Game Boy Advance got one that was like with the top-down style.
Oh, okay, that must have been it.
Moving along, also on October 24th, if you had a Nintendo DS, you could pick up Metroid Prime Pinball.
Because of course, with one of the main characteristics of the character being turned into the ball, why throw them into a pinball game?
I forgot this game existed.
I'm mildly surprised that that this one fell through the cracks and not the other one.
Also on October 24th, if you had a DS, you could pick up Nintendog's Best Friends.
Because what could be better than Nintendogs, than more Nintendogs?
I mean, that's a fair point. Moving along here, October 25th, if you had a PS2 or Xbox, you could pick up Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. Not a big fan of the
Yeah.
Battlefield games.
Well, it's kind of the case of just with me not being exactly within that specific gameplay style, and kind of the case of with the games at the time just meshing too much together. I can't tell any of the franchises apart.
Okay. Well, this wouldn't have helped because also on October 25th, if you had a PC, you could pick up Call of Duty 2.
Because, of course.
Also on October 25th, if you had a PC, you were eating well today because Civilization 4 came out.
Yes.
And I love the Civilization games.
Yeah.
Also on October 25th, if you had a Game Boy Advance, you could pick up Driver 3 for the GBA.
Yes. With the 3 in the title.
What the fuck is this game? I don't even, like, how? How?
Most likely particular ways, but kind of the case of it could have meshed with one part of the series, but with it being on the GBA, they had to make some cuts.
Also on October 25th, if you had a GameCube, you could pick up Lego Star Wars the video game.
Yes, the interesting jump off for the Lego video game series once this one came around.
Yes, and it did not become a huge deal ever again.
Oh no, no, of course not. All those hundreds on hundreds of other particular games that came up after this one. Nothing.
Also on October 25th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up this little game called Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, because everyone saw it happen on the GameCube, and it's like, oh man, this game has that particular style, and everyone's drooling over it. Let's get it on other consoles.
Remember when that game was supposed to be exclusive to the GameCube?
Yeah,
Pepperidge
that
Farm
lasted
remembers.
Yeah, that lasted a good, like, maybe 2 weeks.
I think it was like a year, maybe.
Okay, bit more reasonable, but still. Yeah, everyone wanted
Oh,
it.
no, it was like 10 months. So it came out
Mm.
on the GameCube in January, and now in October it's being released on the PS2. Alrighty. Well, what other games do we have? Oh my god. Okay, also on October 25th, because apparently this was just a massive fucking day, if you had a PS2, you could pick up Ratchet Deadlocked.
Yeah, that marvelous edgy phase that a lot of those series went through.
I wish we would get a new Ratchet and Clank game. I enjoyed the PS4 one.
It would be interesting. And they did try to do that decent revival a couple years back.
Yeah, the PS4 one I thought was a lot. Oh, we did. We got Rift Apart. I forgot about Rift Apart. I should play that. They did one for the PS5.
Oh, that's true.
I should
Again, it's the case of not actually getting myself into the game with jumping into the new systems and whatnot. Yeah, it passes you by sometimes.
October 25th. If you had a PC, GameCube, PS2, Xbox, Nintendo DS, or a Game Boy Advance, you could pick up Shrek Super Slam.
Yeah, because that was a thing.
Remember when Shrek tried to make a Smash Bros. Type game?
Well, yeah, just the marvelous sort of case of everyone was just like, oh my gosh, Shrek is the gosh darn movie of the century. We need to make video games that are everything.
Yeah. Also on October 25th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up Soul Calibur 3.
Yes.
And finally, the last two games here. Oh, sorry, three. On the 26th, the day of the episode, if you had a PC, PS2, or Xbox, you could pick up Brothers in Arms Earned in Blood. I'm assuming nobody remembers that game.
Yeah, no.
Also on October 26th, if you had a PSP, you could pick up Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Oh.
Have you ever watched any of the Ghost in the Shell stuff?
Yeah, little bits of it for a couple of the episodes that were released at the time.
Okay. Finally, on October 26th, if you had a Game Boy Advance, you could pick up Nicktoons Unite.
Yeah, because that was also a thing.
Yes, because they could put a whole bunch of those Nicktoon characters on the box and kids would buy it.
Yeah.
Because the box has SpongeBob, it has Jimmy Neutron, it has the one kid from, whatchamacallit, Timmy
There's
Turner.
The small one with... Yeah, that's the one.
And Danny Phantom. That was going to get picked up. Anyway, let us move on to the episode. So, This episode starts directly after the previous one, with Wallace angrily confronting his mother about Nathan being his father. Alicia tells Wallace that Nathan betrayed her while supposedly going on a police case, and that Wallace's purported father, Hank Fennell, is his legal father. In class, Veronica nominates Wallace for Homecoming King, and another boy nominates Veronica. Wallace tells Veronica that Nathan is his father before Jackie approaches and expresses her jealousy. Keith tells Veronica that he has a 12-point lead in the sheriff's race. In the bathroom, Jackie walks up to Veronica and tells her that she needs her help with her credit card, which has been maxed out without her knowledge. Veronica reluctantly agrees, and Alicia confronts Keith for Wallace's birth certificate, which he stole in the previous episode. They get into an increasingly heated debate. Nathan talks to Wallace and says that he's tried to find Wallace for years and hands him letters that he sent. Wallace successfully made the nominating pool for Homecoming, royalty. Logan and Jackie flirt in school. Veronica matches credit card items with a girl named Cora and invites her to pick out homecoming dresses together to find out more. Logan and Duncan agree to hang out. During a sheriff's race debate, Sheriff Lamb brings up the fact that Keith would have arrested Ed Doyle for a DUI if he had followed procedure. Veronica finds out that Cora could not have stolen Jackie's credit card. Duncan invites Veronica to homecoming. Keith has lost his lead in the sheriff's race. Wallace shows Alicia the letters and she blows up at him. Veronica plants a listening device in Sheriff Lamb's office. Veronica goes to the first place the credit card was spent, the psychic shop where Jackie went. Veronica decides to go to the psychic Madame Sophie's show to expose her as a fraud. Veronica, listening through the audio device, finds out what Sheriff Lamb excuse me. Finds out that Sheriff Lamb blackmails Jackie's father, the baseball player Terrence Cook. The girl who went to the psychic shop who went on the psychic show, says that she has a message from the bus crash, and Veronica listens. Veronica goes on the show, and without having told anyone, the psychic has a message from Lily. It turns out that Jackie framed Veronica to embarrass her. Wallace angrily tells Veronica to let it go while simultaneously telling Jackie that he's not going to homecoming dance with her because of the incident. Veronica shows Keith the message plays Keith the message before the bus crash, but there's an explosion on the tape, indicating that the bus was sabotaged. Veronica tells Keith to use the information to his advantage, but he denies the suggestion. Homecoming occurs where Jackie is alone and Veronica and Duncan dance. Veronica sees Jackie dancing with Logan, and Jackie yells at Veronica. Keith shows Lamb the message evidence. Alicia calls Keith and says that Wallace went missing after the prom. Veronica calls Wallace, but he doesn't pick up. We see Wallace is driving away with his father. So, what do we think of this episode, Dave?
Just bits of the drama. Again, with cases of... It's always interesting with these particular sort of story type things of father comes back into the child's life and sort of situations from that. And one of the cases of, especially with this one, is it starts out so early and you don't have a lot of information from either side. So it gives that still mistrust of you don't exactly know this person or how bad it could supposedly get from there, but also kind of the case of not knowing and the curiosity of wanting to know and the effort he has supposedly put in, if it's genuine or not, that brings that typical sort of drama that everyone's like, ew, I want to hear all the details and dish. God, with all the stuff that went on with the election and whatnot, just the foul ball of bringing up the additional information for getting the bus driver a DUI, just particular things. If I did not like the Sheriff Lamb from last season, this season is not helping his case in any such way.
Yes, so like you said, a couple of important things happen in this episode. So Veronica bugs Sheriff Lamb's office and finds him blackmailing Terrence Cook, who we find out has a gambling debt. That could be important. Veronica
Yes.
also finds a voicemail left by a student on the bus moments before the crash and confirms after her father hears it that there's a sound before the bus hits the rail that could be an explosion. Keith opts to not go public with it and gives it to Lamb instead. Okay. Couple of fun little notes about this one. So, you'll in one scene you can see Jackie using her TiVo, because this is back when TiVo was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's TVing a show called Cupid, which is the show that Rob Thomas created prior to Veronica Mars.
Huh.
And you'll also see another thing on her TiVo list, which is Sunset and Vaughn, which is a fictional TV series within Cupid. So there's a couple of fun little kind of in-jokes there.
There you go.
Yes, and we have a live band in this episode. So there's at the homecoming, we see that the Faders are playing. I don't think they're terribly notable, but it was kind of fun having a live band on the show.
Yeah, doing all sorts of things.
Yes, they only released one album and then broke up. So I think that's about it for this episode. If there's nothing else, next week we'll be discussing the episode Rat Saw God. So, a little preview for this episode. In this episode, Abel Kuntz returns and requests Veronica's help in finding his daughter. Meanwhile, Logan is arrested for his supposed stabbing of a bike gang member, and Keith gets, we find out what happens in the sheriff's election. Yes. So, until next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.